Last summer, I had to go with my dad to put our family dog down. And it was a tough, rough day. If you've ever had to do it, it's not fun. So then for the next, 6 months or so, we were kind of in that process of just mourning and letting the dog go. But recently, my family started looking for another dog. And so we were, searching the different websites and trying to find something that would fit our family. And my whole experience of dogs in life was always the little small ones. And so that's what we were kind of looking for. Until at one of the shelters, we came across a standard poodle. And in our family, we all have allergies to things that shed, and standard poodles don't really shed. So we thought, well, maybe this is an option. And long story short, this week we adopted a standard poodle. And it's been interesting because, as I said, we always had small dogs, and now we have this gigantic dinosaur of a creature wandering around our house. And it was funny because the dog came in on a Monday to the pound, and then on Tuesday we went to see it. And after being the first in line to get it, there was a week-long waiting period. So you had to wait a week before you could actually adopt the dog, because they wanted to make sure someone wasn't going to come back and pick it up if it was their dog. And so what was interesting was, for a week, because we had never had a small dog before, and we really didn't know anything about this dog other than it was huge and it would be different than what we had before, there were all kinds of things going through our minds, wondering okay, when it gets home, is it going to be house trained? Are we going to be able to take care of such a gigantic creature? How much food is this thing going to eat? How much water is it going to drink? How often does it have to go out? It was a whole new experience for us. But that week of waiting, because the dog wasn't there yet, and because we were anticipating, it was kind of anxiety-inducing. You're like, what's it going to actually be like at home, especially now that we've got this new creature wandering the halls? Now, that was kind of our waiting experience, and maybe you've not had that experience before, or maybe it's been a long time since you've had something like that. But I think we can all go through moments in our lives where we have to wait for something. Maybe it's waiting to find out if we made the team, or waiting to find out if we're having a boy or a girl, or waiting to find out if we got that job that we applied for and put a lot of effort into applying for. We can all have that general experience of waiting, and it can bring about within us lots of different feelings: anticipation, worry, anxiety, excitement. The reason I bring all of this up today is because a lot of times in the Christian life, when we're trying to be faithful to Jesus and trying to be attentive to the commandments, and especially during the season of Lent, when we're waiting to celebrate the season of Easter, a lot of times it can just feel like the end is never going to come. It can feel like we're waiting on something that maybe never will actually happen. A lot of practical ways in life this happens is maybe if you're struggling with a health issue, and it's just I don't know when this is going to come to a resolve, or maybe it's even a permanent health issue that you're I'm never going to be healed from this until one day I get to heaven, maybe. Or maybe it's something with a broken relationship in a marriage where you're no matter how hard we try, we just don't seem to be able to get along. Maybe it's a buddy in school who just, no matter what you seem to do, they seem to not like you or bully you or give you that ugly look. We all go through moments where it just feels like this is going to go on for eternity, and someday maybe it'll end, but how do I know that I'll ever be able to escape the discomfort that it brings about in my life? Well, today in our gospel, we receive the message of hope that gives us the truth and the reality that at some point, all pain and all suffering and all the waiting will eventually come to an end. And this is not just a nice message for us to say oh, that's good, one day that'll be true for me. But it's something that we can take up in our hearts and begin to live right now. Hearing from John's gospel that God so loved the world that he gave us his only Son, so that whoever perishes believing in him might have eternal life. That means for us as Christians, while yes, we may still have to suffer in this life, and we still have to wait through difficulties in this life, and we still have to deal with the reality that our existence in this earth is complicated and difficult, and we have to deal with sin and death and all that goes along with that. The truth and the reality is that we can place our trust and our hope in the reality that it will one day come to an end, and we will get to experience the resurrection. We can have tremendous hope. Now, what's interesting about this gospel passage is that the line, "For God so loved the world that he gave us his only son." One of the lines that I think we just kind of pass over and take at face value is that God gave us his only son. I've preached on this before, but there was not anything more insulting to a Jewish man 2,000 years ago when this was written than perhaps not having a son, not having a child. And you say, why? There's a lot of reasons for it, but one of them that I think is really interesting is that when you had a child, that became your chance to form an alliance with other families. And especially if you were from royal blood or you had some nobility within you, the idea was that you would try to form an alliance with another noble or royal or powerful family so that you could bring your families together to not just, have a nice family dynamic, but actually develop more authority, more power, more royalty. And the reason this is interesting is because God knows this, right? Jesus was a Jewish man, and he obviously wanted the same thing that other Jews did. But God, out of love for us, forfeited all of that. In giving his only son, in allowing Jesus to suffer and die, and in Jesus choosing to do that, forfeited the opportunity on a human level to form these human alliances, which would be, again, the ultimate punishment for a Jew at this time. But the good news of the gospel and of Jesus is that he flips the narrative on his head. And in choosing to give himself away as a free and a total gift, God so loved the world that he gave his only son, giving himself away. He flips the narrative on its head so that in the way that an earthly couple would wed each other, a husband and a wife would come together to wed each other to form this earthly alliance, God chose to give himself, to wed himself to each and every one of us, to form a new supernatural alliance, an alliance of grace, mercy, forgiveness, and ultimately resurrection, so that we're not thinking about inheritances related to money or to power or to land or to a house or whatever. We're talking about eternity and the joy of living in complete and total union with each other. And so I brought up in the beginning of the homily the idea that we are, in this life forced at times to wait in anxiety and worry and all those things. But the truth of the matter is that the waiting game is over. God has rewritten the course of human history so that we don't have to wait anymore. Certainly we might have to suffer the effects of human frailty and sinfulness, but when we have to deal with broken family situations or illness or suffering or things that just don't seem to make sense, what do? But we turn our eyes to Jesus and say, there is a reason for hope. There is a reason for me to say, Satan, get behind me. I'm keeping my eyes on Jesus. You have no power here. We don't have to give in to despair and worry and anxiety. We can choose to place our trust and confidence in the love of Jesus. And isn't that what we are all about this Lent here at St. Bernadette? Be still and trust in my love. His love was so great that he gave his son to wed himself to us so that we might not perish but might have eternal life. And so, brothers and sisters, whatever that thing is in our life right now that we might be waiting on or we might be worried about, whether it's simply just getting to Easter Sunday so that we could eat our favorite treat again, or whether it's a serious family situation or illness or something going on in school that leaves us with an emptiness or a feeling of I long for this to be complete. Let's bring that to Jesus. Let's entrust it to him, entrust it to his love, trusting ultimately that he will redeem all things, provide hope for all things, so that we can endure this life to be one with him in heaven forever and ever. Amen.